Hey YouTube, this is TheHoffN'Snoff coming at you with another Yu-Gi-Oh! Related content video, and this is basically going to be another deck profile on my Battlin Boxers. I'm just going to be explaining a little bit more in detail why I run the number of cards that I do, and maybe some tweaks that you can do if you wanted to maybe increase or decrease the amount of cards that are played inside of this deck. So I hope you guys enjoy. So again, to start off, we're obviously going to be running 3 Glassjaw, and the reason why I run him at 3 is because this is going to be the sole card along with the help of Switch Hitter that's going to be able to get your Battling Boxer Lead Yoke out so quickly, and alongside other things like your other rank 4s and stuff like that. He is going to make you always have Battling Boxers in your hand. I don't see why you wouldn't run him at 3, always run him at 3. And he's a 2000 hitter, and he kills himself with his own effect, so he always uses his effect almost 100% of the time. 3 Headgeared. Why do we run 3 Headgeared? It's just a good card overall. It's always good to have that searching power for that one Battling Boxer to send to your graveyard. And most of the time when I'm using this card, I'll be sending a Glassjaw. It kind of depends on the situation. If you need some more attack power, send a Counterpunch. If you need a Glassjaw, and to get another Battling Boxer to your hand, then send Glassjaw. That's usually what I use this guy for. But I would not be against running this guy at 2. Especially when the new cards come out, I probably will be running him at 2 because he's not as necessary, in my opinion, as Glassjaw and Switch Hitter are. Because those are your ideal Battling Boxers to get out your Lead Yoke. And I'll tell you why in just a sec. So 3 Switch Hitter. Like I said, necessity. When you are getting out your Battling Boxer Lead Yoke, this alongside with Glassjaw is going to be your ideal Battling Boxers for this card. And the reason why is because when he gets destroyed, always detach Switch Hitter first, unless you really need another Battling Boxer. But always detach Switch Hitter first, because what's going to happen is when you detach Glassjaw from this guy, it is from an effect, and you will get Switch Hitter back to your hand, so you can set up another combo next turn. So that's why you always want to have, if you can, these 2 cards, Switch Hitter and Glassjaw, as exercise materials for your Lead Yoke. 3 Spar. This is another one of those things where you could run him at 2. He's not needed. He's not as necessary as the other 2 that I explained. But it's always good to have that special summon. And he's better in attack and defense, I believe, as Battling Boxer Headgeared. So he's really good for that special summon. And there's a loophole to where you can special summon during main phase 2 and you can still conduct your battle phase beforehand. So he's just a really good card. But if you can run him at 3, do it, but you can run him at 2. I think it would still work just as fine. 2 Counterpunch. The reason why I run 2, like I said in my previous video, I think 3 is a lot and 2 is just too little. I just see him show up too much with 3, and I don't see him at 1. So I think that 2 is perfect. And he also has, like, in my opinion, he's really good alongside Blaster, Dragon Ruler of Infernos, because you use his effect to detach, or use his effect to send to the graveyard alongside with Counterpunch, and Counterpunch effect activates in the graveyard anyway. So it's like you're not even losing anything by using that effect with Blaster. So that's why I really like him as well. And then 1 Rabbit Puncher, like I said, to deal with defense, and this guy you'll actually be summoning, unlike Counterpunch, so if you really need Cheat Commissioner out, it makes it a lot more liable to get him out instead of just, always either having Counterpunches in your hand or graveyard. So that's why I put Rabbit Puncher in there. And then Blaster, of course, to get rid of cards, kind of like a infinite MST, if you will. Just a really good card in this deck. I mean, every card in here is a Fire-type monster except Masked Chameleon Goblinberg. Yeah, that's it, Masked Chameleon Goblinberg. So, I mean, it's just kind of obvious, in my opinion, if you can run him. 2 Goblinberg, that's kind of a duh card. Any level 4 being able to special summon, level 4 or lower in that matter. Just more spammability, if that's a word, to get your monsters out a lot faster, and that's why I put him in there. Again, always good to have that special summon, and he has 0 defense along with Goblinberg to get your combos with Masked Chameleon to sync very quickly, or XYZ if you really need it. So that's why you run 3 Masked Chameleons. And the reason why I run 3 Masked Chameleon, like specifically this tuner, is because it's gonna be the best card that you could possibly run in Battling Boxers if you're planning on running synchros, because you're always gonna have a Glass Shawl in the graveyard most of the time, and he is a defensive 0, so you're always gonna be able to make that combo as soon as you draw Masked Chameleon. And you're not gonna really be knocked back by his effect of not being able to normal summon if there's a level 5 or higher monster, because you only want one synchro out at a time, really. I mean, you're never gonna really want more than one with this guy. But yeah, that's one drawback of his effect, but he's probably, in my opinion, the best tuner for this deck if you're planning on running synchros. And that's it for the monster lineup. So for spells, why do you run 3 MSTs? That's kind of an obvious. You don't want to deal with back row. There's nothing really more to explain about 3 MSTs. I would definitely run it at 3. No more. No less than 3. 2 Warrior Returning Alives. Every card in here is a warrior except Masked Chameleon and Blaster, so it's another obvious card. Forbidden Dress and Forbidden Lance. I did say in my previous video that it's good to have a variety of both unaffected by Spell and Trap and not being able to be targeted, but it's just been in so many cases that I've seen so far that Forbidden Dress just doesn't cut it, and I think that running 2 Forbidden Lance would be a lot more efficient than running one of each. So if you can, I would run 2 Forbidden Lance, but this is all I have right now, so that's what I have to deal with. For your single spells, got Reinforcement of the Army. Again, another duh card. Every, like I said, monster in here is a warrior, except Goblinberg, or except Masked Chameleon and Blaster. Foolish Burial. That's a card that you can really pick to put inside this deck. I put it in this deck because it works so good with like setting up combos like Blaster or Glass Jaw, or maybe putting a switch hitter into the graveyard in case you're going to be sending a Glass Jaw with Headgeared, so you can get that switch hitter to your hand. It just sets up a lot of plays, and it is my 41st card, but it's so good I keep it in there. So rank up Magic Numeron's Force, and the reason why I pick up this rank up Magic in specific is because you negate everything when you special summon your Comet Cestus. And that comes in handy in so many different ways. Sometimes it's going to hurt you, but a lot of the times it just really doesn't. So it really, really helps in in a dire situation if you really need to get that card out. So that's why I have it in there. Battling Boxers Spirits. It's like saying no to a Monster Reborn. Kind of obvious. Book of Moon. That's another staple in my opinion. And 1 Dark Hole. Another staple. And that's it for the spells. Safe Zone. For my traps, it's pretty hilarious when it's equipped to strong monsters like Lead Yoke or Silent Honor Arc, things like that. It's just an incredible card, and that's why I run it. It's just so good. Battling Boxer, I'm sorry, Bottomless Trap Hole, another staple. Compulsory Evacuation Device, Torrential Tribute, 1 Mirror Force, and Solemn Warning, and those are all pretty much staples. So, to the extra deck, why do I run these specific synchros? Because I think that it has a lot of type of like a yin and yang type thing. I mean, if you want to really be offensive, go with Colossal Fighter. If you really want to be protected, go with Stardust. If you really want to deal with their defense, go with, Red Dragon Archfiend. But I think it's good to have a lot of consistency between different effects, like opposite effects. And that's what I think my extra deck is kind of built around, because I have so many, counterintuitive, like we got Photon, Pebble Imperative, and we also have, Maestroke. I mean, that's basically the opposite effects. I mean, if they're playing defense, go for Pebble Imperative. If they're playing a lot of face-up monsters that you really don't want them to be face-up, go for Maestroke, the Symphony Degen. It's a lot of different yin and yang, like I said, type of effects in this extra deck that really, really help. And, you have your offensive monsters like Excalibur and Blade Armor Ninja. Take control of some of their monsters with this awesome card. That's a game winner, if you really need that extra 800 or 1600 points if you detach 2. Cheat Commissioner, that's really more of a, if you really, really need it type of card. I've never really actually needed this card when I'm playing. It's so funny, and it could come in handy during certain decks. that's why I have it in there, and I don't really have any like, other cards to put in here, so that's why I put him in there. And he will become a lot better with the cards that are coming out in Primal Origins, so that's why he's in my extra deck now, basically waiting. Number 105, Battling Boxers Star Cestus. Really, really good card. Negate any effects during the battle phase of any face-up monster if it's battling a Battling Boxer monster. So that goes for, you know, everything that is a Battling Boxer monster. It doesn't have to just be Star Cestus. And that's what's so good about his effect. And, I mean, if you get him out alongside with Battling Boxer Comet Cestus, it just makes it ridiculous with effect damage. So that's why I run him. And then, of course, your 3 ace cards, or your 1 ace card, really, Battling Boxer Lead Yoke. He is your ace card. You wouldn't run Battling Boxers if this card didn't exist, so definitely run him inside your extra deck at 3, no less. I see people run like 1 Lead Yoke, and it just doesn't make sense to me. Run 3. It is your best card. Okay, so for the extra deck, that's it for the extra deck. Let's see. I didn't really talk about this in my last video for my Battling Boxers, but I did start to make a side deck for this deck, and I want you guys to tell me what you think and what else I could put in this deck to make it, or inside this side deck to make it a little better. All I have so far, well, I do have 15. I have 1 Counterpunch just in case I need some extra attack power, and I do have 1 Rib Gardna in case I really need to banish some of my Lead Yokes if they're trying to banish them first. And this is a quick effect for Rib Gardna, so it makes it really effective. I was just looking into my collection and I saw this card. This is pretty funny. It goes along with Pepple Imperative. Morpho Butterspy, I think is how you pronounce his name. He's pretty good. Anything that's changed to a different battle position, basically, you can make it lose 1,000 attack and defense, and that goes along with Pepple Imperative if you have that capability. So I think that's really funny. And it's a level 4 warrior, so I mean it really works with the deck. Unfortunately, it's a dark monster, but you know, what are you going to do? Alright, that's it for my monsters. And then for my spells, I have 1 Dimensional Fissure, and I know what you're probably thinking, this destroys this deck. You cannot do anything when this thing is out. But there are some decks that will also be like completely just crumble with this deck. It'll just crumble apart, and I think it's hilarious. You know, it's either they're gonna beat me or we're both going down together with this card. Basically, is what it is, and that's why I have that in there. 1 Prohibition because there's a lot of cards that people play in their decks that I don't like, so I prohibit them. 1 Soul Release because some people rely on their graveyards, such as me. I will use this against people that have, you know, really heavy graveyard effects, basically, and try to banish as much as their key cards that I can from their graveyard. And that's it for my spells. And then I have a lot of traps. I have 1 Imperial Iron Wall, just in case if they're banishing too much, like a Cyber deck or something like that. 1 Dimensional Prison, because, you know, 10 times better than Sakurutsu, and it's just a really good card in general. Then I run 2 Trap Stuns because there are some trap cards that are ridiculous, so that's why I run 2 of those just in case if I really need it. 1 Skill Prisoner, and this is kind of a dumbed down version of Breakthrough Skill. If I had a Breakthrough Skill, I'd definitely side deck that, but this is all I have right now, so if you can side deck Breakthrough Skill, I would definitely do that. And then just some cards to where I don't get hurt. I have a Threatening Roar and a Bulboku. And then for some of the effects that I really don't like from some of the people, I have a Divine Wrath because it's pretty funny. And then for my 15th card, I side deck Crimson Blader because there are a lot of people that like to special summon all the time, and like me, but it's just annoying. So I'll probably, if I need him, side him out for maybe like Colossal or Red Dragon Archfiend because Stardust is just too good to side out. And that's it. Please comment and tell me what I could add in my side deck specifically, because my extra deck and my main deck I think are pretty set for right now. But just comment, subscribe, and tell me what you guys think of this deck in general. If you have any more like advice on how to play this deck, please leave it in the comment section below. And thank you so much for watching. This is TheHoffN'Snoff, out.